This is The Top, where I interview entrepreneurs who are number one or number two in their industry in terms of revenue or customer base. You'll learn how much revenue they're making, what their marketing funnel looks like, and how many customers they have.
I'm now at $20,000 per top.
5 and 6 million. He is hell-bent on global domination. We just broke our 100,000 unit sold mark.
And I'm your host, Nathan Latka.
I just finished traveling Southeast Asia for 41 days, and I usually always get sick when I travel, and quite frankly, eating is difficult for me. It's hard to find a restaurant, and I'm spoiled in Austin with my personal chef. Well, I took these little packets with me this time, 30 of them, in my carry-on suitcase. They kept me totally healthy with 11 different secret ingredients. You can see them at nathanlatka.com/juice. I'll tell you more later on in the show. That's nathanlatka.com/juice. Top Tribe, you know I don't have a lot of time to waste. That's why I use FreshBooks to send out invoices and make sure I'm collecting my money. To get your free month, go to nathanlatka.com/FreshBooks and enter the top in the How Did You Hear About Us section. This episode 635, and coming up tomorrow morning, you'll learn from Amit Kalkat. His Bangalore startup just hit $40,000 in monthly recurring revenue, helping 18 customers get consumer data using social intelligence with his company, Furl. Good morning, everybody. Nathan Latka here. My guest this morning is Amit. He bootstrapped RocketReach from 0 to over 300,000 registered users in its first year. RocketReach and the RocketReach API are trusted by some of the largest companies on the planet, like Apple, Google, Chase, Morgan Stanley, just to name a few. He has more than a dozen patents and started his professional life writing code for geostationary satellites. He's also a judge for the MIT 100,000K competition and hopes to invest more time and money back into the startup ecosystem. Amit, are you ready to take us to the top?
Sounds good. I'm here.
All right. So last time we had you on, it was actually a very good episode. Many people really enjoyed it. That was episode 465 in November of last year. And at that point, you'd passed 120,000 paying customers. Your goal for, or you passed $200,000 in monthly recurring revenue. Your goal for 2017 ARR is to hit, you said $10 million. Are all those on track? You're beating those goals?
Yeah, so I don't remember exactly how many users we had back then, but we have almost 300,000 users now. Our growth has continued to accelerate, so all the signs definitely look positive, and we're also investing in a couple of features in the product that we hope will really accelerate the revenue.
When you say, be specific with 300,000 users, people don't know what that means. Are those paying customers or free users?
No, so we have 3 tiers of users. There are anonymous users who just use our site a little bit and go away. There's signed up users. So there are 300,000 signed up users. Okay. And there are paid users who are less than 300,000, obviously.
Okay. And last time you told me you had about 120,000 paid customers. Are you still at about that same area, or have you gone up to 130, 140,000?
Yeah, we're not exactly exposing that number, but it's somewhere, it's definitely lower than 300,000.
Okay, well, but Amit, you already told me that number on the last episode, that it was 120,000. I mean, all I'm asking is, have you grown above that over the last 4 or 5 months?
We've continued to grow. We've, ever since March of 2015, we've had, double-digit growth, high double-digit growth, and that's continued to occur. Okay,
great. And you mentioned one of your focuses here in Q1 is to get more teams signing up. So how do you do that? Pragmatically, how are you approaching that?
Yeah, so a little bit of a journey, right? So what have we been up to? So we tried to do a few things to figure out how to accelerate our revenue growth. One of the approaches that we tried is we tried to go more into the lead generation space, which is rather than just providing contact information and just doing contact discovery, let's give customers a list of leads based on users who signed up for their service every day or something. We called it lookalike lead generation. The key learnings from trying to do a lead generation product were, one, that the end customers hold us responsible for much higher, a much higher value of, a much higher quality of data, and for things that are out of our control. If we provide a list of leads to our customers, then they have to actually, reach out to them and follow up on those leads. And how well they do that will affect how they gauge our data, which is sort of unfair.
So this is like the same spaces like Inspire Beats or Leadero or LeadGenius, Prospectify, ProLeads, these kind of Twofer, these kind of companies, right?
Absolutely. Twofer probably does contact discovery, but LeadGenius is a good example of somebody that does lead generation.
Okay.
So if you think about LeadGenius, right, they charge you much more per row of data because they are giving you what they would consider a qualified lead.
Yeah, they've got about 200 customers, and their monthly ARPU is about $3.3 grand, $3,300. Exactly.
So the problem with that space is one. The bar is very high. Like the quality of the data has to be very, very good. Otherwise, people will churn out very quickly.
So could you not get to the quality of data that like a LeadGenius has? What was the challenge there?
So we did not. So LeadGenius uses a combination of people and software.
Okay.
Right? We wanted to do it completely with software, not rely on human intervention. So one of the things that we noticed is that we started hitting an upper bar of how good our quality was.
Which was what? If you give me 100 emails, how many of them are going to bounce?
It's not the bounce. It's, let's say we give you 100 emails. The question is how many of those are good leads for you? And that's a subjective evaluation. We found that we were topping out at about 40 to 50%.
Were actually good leads.
Were good leads. Yeah, the rest of them programmatically generated were not great leads.
Okay.
The other part of the problem is you've given this data set to your customer. They have to now follow up on them, right? So they could do direct emails. They could do Facebook ads, Twitter ads. They have to call those people up if they have phone numbers, right? They have to follow up on that. Now, the way that they do that, their sales pipeline, if that's not good, they will eventually pass the blame on to us and then say, this did not work because the leads were not good enough.
Well, how does LeadGenius solve that problem?
To be honest, I don't know. I don't know whether they are able to solve that problem. This is, as long as you're providing leads and you're not in control of the pipeline, you're inadvertently going to be held responsible for things that are out of your control.
Well, look, that was episode 265 for anyone that wants to go listen to it. But I mean, they've got less than 2.8% gross customer churn per month, and their MRR is above $700,000 per month. So, I mean, look, their ARPU is way higher than you. Maybe they're putting humans on every account, and they only have 200 accounts.
Right. If they're able to do it with very low churn, that's awesome. But what we found when we were doing it, especially because we were not doing the human intervention part of it, is that first of all, the cost of getting each customer was very high because we had the sales cycle was long, a lot of handholding.
How high? What was the cost?
We're talking about like almost $1,000 to acquire a customer.
Okay, and what's your ARPU that you have on average?
So we never really released this product to a point where we have good metrics on these things.
Well, you have 120,000 customers though. You must know what an average is. That's a huge sample size. Right.
For lead generation though, the lead generation product wasn't that. We basically piloted it. We never really
Got it.
So the amount of money that we were getting per delivery of data set was somewhere between $3,000 to $7,000, right? And the thing is that they wouldn't last for more than 2 to 3 months because eventually they would find that the quality of the leads was
but
not
that
enough.
Math works, doesn't it? If you spend $1,000 to get a user that pays you $3,000 per month, that's $1,000 for every $9,000. I mean, that math seems to work to me.
It does work, but the margins are not as high as a self-serve model.
Okay.
Right? I think the scaling of that is much, much more difficult.
Okay. And were you powering, a lot of your data, you wanted to do it with software. Were you kind of using a combination of like Clearbit and Full Contact? What other data sources were you using?
We're using a bunch of open APIs, right? So we're using a bunch of search APIs. We're using...
Can you name a few though?
Yeah, we're using AngelList, Crunchbase, those two things for sure. But then the other ones a lot of them are spiders. So they're basically just looking at open HTML pages.
And are those spiders things that you've built internally, or you're paying access for other people's spiders?
It's a combination. So we've got our own search cluster as well as APIs.
Interesting. Who besides you guys, who do you think does that really well, the spider approach?
I honestly don't know because there are companies that do it. I'm not sure if Axiom uses this, but to to be honest, I don't know the answer to that question. We definitely use spiders. We definitely use entity recognition. There have been companies in the past that have used it, like Connectifier. But to some extent, I think Connectifier also used their browser to collect a lot of the data, and from their plugin to collect a lot of the data from the users' browsers, which we actually do not do at all.
And then going back to your other sources like AngelList and Crunchbase, I mean, do you pay Crunchbase? Do they have a model where you can pay for access?
Yeah, a lot of the APIs are paid. So that's one of the reasons why our why our cost is high. Yeah.
Interesting. That's why it's not as high margin.
The contact lookup model is relatively high margin, especially because we have no marketing costs, no sales costs.
What is relatively high margin? Like 85% gross margin, something like that?
So start of this, so we would say yes, about 80-ish%, yes.
Okay, got it. Cool. Okay, so what did you do? You looked at the product, you put it into beta, you didn't like it. What'd you do?
So we decided that, the direction that we want to go with the company is not a lead generation, not a lead generation play, but a more of a productivity play. So we want our customers to think of RocketReach as a productivity tool that is always installed, on their browser, always something that they access and they don't think a lot about. Like it's almost like, a Salesforce. Anybody who's in sales uses Salesforce. Anybody who's in a sales team uses RocketReach, right? We want it to become more of a de facto productivity tool for sales teams. And so the features that we're focusing on, they are catered towards teams being more productive with RocketReach. So directly being able to send emails through our website, through our plugin, being able to track their effectiveness, being able to add and remove users. We've made our plugin a lot more powerful so that it can pick up basically profiles from all sorts of other websites. So we're essentially making it easier for people to use RocketReach.
And where are those pricing plans? Because on your website, I see 0, 49, 99, 299, but the only thing differentiated those really are number of lookups per month.
Absolutely. Yeah. We want to keep things as simple as possible, right?
But where are the team features? Like if I wanted to try those, where would I go?
So right now we don't have a self-serve team feature. If you want teams to sign up for RocketReach, the best way to do that is to contact support@rocketreach.co and we'll set you guys up.
Got it.
But it'll be, I think in the next 2 or 3 weeks, you'll see a self-serve team sign-up feature, and it'll be in your account settings. You'll be able to go to your account settings and invite other members to your paid plan.
Got it. And what are you guys, I think last time we spoke, you had told me that, well, how much are you raised? You're bootstrapped, right?
We're absolutely bootstrapped, yes.
And still you said last time team size was about 5 people. Has that grown or is it still about 5?
We're probably about to add 2 more people.
Okay, so call it 7 people. You're bootstrapped. You have one of the highest, because you're bootstrapped, revenue per employees in this industry. When you compare across Leadero, LeadGenius, everybody else, I mean, are you thinking about raising capital, or do you think you can just fuel growth off revenue?
I think that it makes, so if we had gone with the lead generation model, I think that it would have made sense for us to raise money, scale a sales team, and then grow revenue that way. That was actually the original plan. But what we're trying to do is trying to scale without hiring a sales team. Mm-hmm. And it remains to be seen whether that can be done. I mean, there's a healthy amount of skepticism about it. I mean, we've spoken to a lot of people who say, you really need a sales team to grow quicker. And that might quite possibly be the case. But we want to find out if we can do it with software alone.
Yep. Well, and just to make sure, I'm going back on some of these numbers. So last time we spoke, which was October 18th, 2016, you had said you had passed 120,000 customers and ARPU was about 70, which is in between all your self-serve pricing plans right now. I mean, that puts you at a healthy, I mean, your MRR is above 2 million per month, right?
No, I mean, I really don't want to get into revenue numbers at all, just because it's very, very.
Wait, this is taken straight out of your mouth from the last episode. So I can't take 120,000 times 70 because that's what you told me your customer number was and your ARPU was last time.
Right. So the per user revenue, per user monthly revenue is about $70. So that's actually accurate. The number of paid users is kind of complicated. Right. The reason it's complicated is because there are teams. And that's why I just don't feel I'm sorry.
Yeah, but I mean, sorry, but this is, I mean, you're like a super smart guy. You're picking winners for MIT competitions. This is not a complicated question. So like, you have like number of logos and then you have number of seats across all the logos, and you either have a credit card or you don't. I mean, so what, I mean, what's the number? Is the 120,000 number the number of seats across all your logos?
So, to be honest, I think there was maybe a bit of misunderstanding. So when I said 120,000 users, I think this was probably like maybe 4 or 5 months ago. I don't remember.
You'd said customers though, because you said you had 300,000 users, and I said how many customers? You said 120,000. I have the recording. I reviewed it before this one. So let's clarify. We can fix it now.
Okay. I think those were, when I gave you the 100-something thousand number, those were registered users. They're not all paid users, right? 300,000 right now is the number of registered users. They're not all paid users. So our revenue is not like $70 million or something like that. So it's not crazy like that. It's in the millions. And it's in the low millions.
Well, I'm not trying to necessarily get to your revenue numbers, but I just want to get a sense of scale in terms of your customer base. So, I mean, do you have more or less than 10,000 paying customers paying you $70 per month?
Yeah, I will not reveal that. I'm sorry.
Okay. Why not? Because the numbers again, it sounds like we're way off from the last time you came on the show. Like it sounds like it's a completely different number.
Right. And yeah,
why don't you want to reveal it? What are you scared of?
I don't think there's a need to reveal it. It's something. I mean, if somebody wants to buy us, we'll be happy to talk to them, reveal our numbers and stuff like that. But it's just not something that people need to.
So, I mean, one of the reasons I ask a lot of these questions on the show is because when people are listening, they want to take value and advice from people that are maybe about their same size or where they're trying to go. That's why I asked the question. So the problem with this is somebody that has maybe 100,000 paying customers at a lower ARPU is going to see this and go, oh, I should listen to Amit. That's going to be valuable. But you're saying your model is actually much different. Your model is not high volume number of customers at a low ARPU. Maybe you have way less customers. I mean, can you give us a big range, stay as vague as you want, in terms of number of customers?
It's in, let's say it's in the, it's
Give me a big range and I'll stop. Give me a good range and I'll stop pushing you on it.
Sure. It's somewhere between 1,000 to 50,000.
Okay, good. That's helpful. All right, let's move forward. So what are the plans moving forward into Q2? Kind of where do you put your focus?
So as I said, right, like people, so we're very sticky. People don't actually churn a lot at all, right? We talked about churn last time. I mean, it was actually sort of around the 9% mark. And what we've noticed is that churn has
gross customer churn per month was 7. Yeah, you told me 7%.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. And that has gone down significantly. So over the last few months, I think that, we've made a bunch of quality improvements to our site and the churn has gone down quite a bit.
What happened?
A lot of it was, two of the main reasons that people used to churn was basically quality of data. And then we had some stability issues and we fixed both of those. So people are just more satisfied with the product.
Got it.
There's a third reason that people churn that we still haven't fixed, which is, once you have a large contact list, what do you do with it? And getting the data out of RocketReach and using it for something is still a little bit hard. So that's what we're fixing. And hopefully with that, both our churn should reduce, our revenue should increase. The other thing that I want to mention about our revenue, which is interesting, is that one of the things that makes it hard from a revenue perspective to kind of clearly gauge what our revenue is we also have an API. And the API, it just runs at a very, very different scale.
Yeah, I get you're talking about when I'm trying to do MRR calculations or something like that. You have two different revenue streams is what you're saying.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I imagine you probably see very much 80-20 rule here. 80% of your revenue comes from the recurring subscriptions, 20% probably comes from the API.
It's not that lopsided actually.
Oh, okay.
It's probably, we see some metrics, right? I think it's like 40% API, 60% consumers, and then international is somewhat similar, actually 60% US, 40% international.
Okay, Top Tribe, as many of you know, I sold Heyo, and everyone is always asking me what my expenses were when I was building Heyo. Well, a big expense was that I spent over $3,000 per month on financial services to keep me out of trouble in terms of taxes. You know, my mom would always harbor me, Nathan, you gotta keep all your receipts and put them in a freaking box or something to make sure you don't get an audit or things like this. I'm like, Mom, I'm a millennial. You think I'm gonna keep all these receipts? I now use FreshBooks. I use their mobile app to take a picture of receipts, and it makes taxes a cinch. Additionally, I don't have to hire a $3,000 per month person to manage all my finances. It's like saving so much money, and my mom's happy. Additionally, I don't waste a bunch of time creating invoices. I use their templates, and I can avoid using Word templates or Excel files. I just use FreshBooks to quickly send out invoices, and it works like a charm. To get your free first month, go to nathanlatka.com/FreshBooks and enter the top in the How Did You Hear About Us section. Again, go to nathanlatka.com/FreshBooks and enter the top in the How Did You Hear About Us section. Amit, that's helpful, man. Let's wrap up here with the famous 5. Number 1, what's your favorite business book?
I haven't read one.
All right, good. That's good. Number 2, is there a CEO, excuse me, is there a CEO you're following or studying right now?
I think Sundar Pichai, especially since he's been in the news, I've been reading about him a lot.
What was the name?
Sundar Pichai, the CEO of Google.
Oh, yeah, good. Number 3, is there a favorite online tool you have besides your own?
Google.
What specifically? Google search. Okay. Number 4, how many hours of sleep do you get each night?
More now. It's probably about 4 to 5.
Okay. And what's your situation? Married, single? Do you have kids?
I'm married. I have a 4-year-old.
Oh, very good. And how old are you?
I am 37.
All right. Take us back 17 years. What advice would you give your 20-year-old self?
Yeah, I think I said this last time. When I was in my early 20s, I think I worried about life a lot. And, at a time when I should really have been enjoying life, I think I was worrying about it too much. And I think for everybody who's young out there, I think take risks. Give everything that you're doing a good shot, but worrying is not something that actually is productive, and I would advise against it.
Guys, there you have it. Take risks, but don't worry. It's not productive. From Amit Shambhag, again, founder of RocketReach. They've got a team of 5 people, adding 2 more out there in San Francisco. Again, helping you get better data, better lead data specifically. They've got between 1 and 50,000 paying customers. Doing a churn now is less than 7% gross monthly CAC, anywhere between $10 and $30 depending on the product line. About a 40-60 split between API revenue and SaaS revenue. Amit, thank you for taking us to the top.
Thank you, Nathan.
If you enjoyed Amit today, go back and listen to David yesterday. His lice-killing brush just raised $2.2 million pre-sales. So interesting that their pre-sales raising that much money. It's going to retail for $20 to kill lice with no chemicals. It would mean the world to me if you guys got any value from this episode, if you would go leave a review on iTunes right now and then subscribe. I hustle like heck to get these episodes out every freaking day for you guys. And trust me, I love it. I would do it with no listeners, but boy, oh boy, it makes my day and it makes my team's day when we see great reviews and get your feedback. So thanks so much. Top Tribe, I love giving away free money. I feel like Oprah giving away cars, and I have something special for you today. How many of you have heard our super sharp guests talk about success they've had with Facebook and Google ads? Well, all of you listening right now, yes, if you're listening, you get $100 in free AdWords. Here's how you get it, okay? Again, thanks for listening. Get the free $100 from Google right when you sign up with my website host provider, HostGator. Go sign up now to get your free money. HostGator.com/Nathan. Again, that's HostGator.com/Nathan. So guys, I'm so glad to be back in Austin. I just got back from a major tour of Southeast Asia. Went to Sydney, Bangkok, Bali, and Japan. And, I always get sick when I travel. And this particular trip, my gosh, 15 different airports, 20 different hotels. I mean, imagine flushing in airport bathrooms. I was worried about germs and getting all the nutrition I need. I mean, finding a restaurant in Japan, difficult because nothing's in English. So it's hard enough to figure out the train system. But my point is, I had a guy named Drew Canoli on the show who said, Nathan, if you're concerned about that, take these little green packets with you. You just mix them once per day with water. They'll keep you super healthy. You get all your nutrients, and they'll keep you from getting sick. So I took them, And guys, they worked unbelievably well. I got no sickness, just mixed them with water once per day. They didn't make my water bottles all sticky. That's like nice. A lot of these mixers, they make them sticky. It was very clean and smooth. Took them once per day, never got sick. So they've got 11 superfoods, and they're perfect if you're not traveling, but you're just on the go from your office to work. So you can check them out at nathanlatka.com/juice. That's nathanlatka.com/juice.